Still ahead, one mother's mission to help children and adults with special needs enjoy the holidays somewhat stress-free. Touching story, so get ready for this one. If you have a child or a family member with special needs, the holidays can be a very stressful time for them as well as for everyone. They may need extra care, and it may be a little bit more difficult for them to enjoy the celebrations, all the good food and all that good stuff. Well, joining me now in the Fox 32 studio is Julie Bombacino, a Northwest Indiana mother who has made it her goal to educate people on the needs of those who need a little extra care, a little extra love, a little extra care. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. First of all, I sat down over here and I said, what is this? Let's talk a little bit about this.
Sure. This is Real Food Blends. This is inspired by my son who has special needs and also has a feeding tube. That is how he receives 100% of his nutrition. He doesn't eat orally. He's allowed to. He just won't. He's a little booger about that. And so 4 years ago, I started making food for him that goes through his feeding tube instead of commercial formulas. And now, I guess fast forward 4 years later, and now we have a line of products that people on feeding tubes can still access 100% real food, get their fruits and vegetables and proteins and all of that.
So how long has your son been dependent on foods like this?
So for 4 years.
And the feeding tube?
Yeah, he's been dependent on the feeding tube for 4 years. He's 4.5, so about 6 months old he got the feeding tube. Kind of put us into this world of special needs that we weren't really prepared for at the time.
And let me ask you this, what kinds of food was available at that time? Was it kind of dry, kind of bland, kind of?
Well, at the time, you know, we were just prescribed formula, which is fine for babies, and it's fine, you know, for certain times in your lives, but formula is not necessarily meant for somebody to be living off and thriving off of that. And so he had a lot of problems with formula, and eventually I started just blending food for him, and I remember very well being almost scared to put a little bit of applesauce into his feeding tube to see what was going to happen, but he reacted really well to having whole foods.
And this is what he's fed through.
Yeah,
this right here.
So he has a little contraption, you know, surgically implanted that we hook him up to this about 3 or 4 times a day, and that's where he gets his food, and we suck it up like this and just push it right in, and so he gets the best of the best nutrition. That's the greatest way to look at his feeding tube.
And how is the weight gain with this?
He's fantastic. He's getting really heavy. Like I said, he has special needs, and he's not walking quite yet, and he's getting really heavy. So
he's getting heavy. So that's a good thing, because that's what you want. So and you and your husband have made this your goal to, you know, while you're helping and you're able to give this food to your son, you want to make this available and let other parents know that this is available for them.
Yeah, really, and let anybody with a feeding tube know that this is entirely possible and easy to have now. So it's very easy to open up a pouch and have access to 100% real food, whereas, you know, before this existed, it was not easy. Blending up all this food was very difficult.
And I know this is not a commercial, of course, for this food here, but you talk about how just stressful this time of year could be for somebody who is dependent on that feeding tube. So let's talk about some of this.
It's probably stressful for everybody, right? You know, the holidays in general, but having a child with special needs, you know, on a feeding tube or not, can be even more stressful this time of year. And so
what kind of tips, Julie, do you have for parents like you that are, of course, trying to take care of a child or an elderly person, of course, in their family?
Well, I think, you know, at this time of year, what we want is to be included. And so if you have a family member, or if you know of a family that maybe has a child at home or is caring for somebody, you know, offering them an invitation or extending an invitation to your home is always what we want. We oftentimes are very, you know, sheltered and isolated. We're trying to keep people healthy in our homes, and so include them, make them feel comfortable, offer things that you can offer to anybody, and maybe, you know, having a quiet room in your house could be very beneficial as well.
And I love how you said include, don't force it.
Yes, that's huge. You know, offering a plate of food to a child who may or may not be eating, or offering a quiet room that, you know, maybe during a holiday party is really difficult for a kid who's got some sensory issues that they need some quiet. So including the family, including the child, is very important to all of us, and let the parents kind of go from there and make decisions about what the child eats or what the child is doing at one particular time.
Good deal, Julie. If people want more information about, of course, the foods that you have here, you've got the orange chicken, carrots, and barley. You've got the salmon, oats, and squash. A number of products right here. Give everybody your web address.
It's realfoodblends.com.
All right, good deal. Thank you so much, and happy holidays to you and your family.
Appreciate it.